So tell me if you've heard this one before. Last second, we're up by a point. Kevin Durant takes a shot, misses the shot. Shenanigans is afoot, we lose the game. You heard that one before? I have. So like the way we lost by 1 point, that's not what has me shook because we've been through this. If you are a Brooklyn Net fan, you are used to this is what we do. This is just how it goes for us. I mean, like if you've been a fan post quarantine, post the restart, that is just how things work as a Brooklyn Nets fan. We tend to have games where we lose by 1 point. I'm used to it. Y'all should be used to it. It is what it is. That's not what has me shook. What has me shook is the fact that, God, there are so many things to talk about. This might be one of the longer videos. My bad it took so long. I had a really, really long day at work yesterday. I didn't get home till 2 in the morning. So I'm actually just now seeing the game. So my fault on that. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Hopefully this longer video is going to make up for the fact that it went up so late. Sever the Bond, Nets Republic, get a shirt down below. Click the link. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Strap on in. Oh, man. Let's get some silly stuff out of the way, and then we'll start talking seriously. I tried to watch this game when I got home last night, and I fell asleep in the second quarter, and I fell asleep like sideways on the couch, and I woke up and this part of my locks had wrapped around my face, and I opened my eyes or whatever this morning and it was just total darkness. I thought I was blind and I was like, oh my God, what happened? And then I just peeled my locks to the side and I was like, okay, it's just my locks. So there's a little silly story to lighten the mood a little bit. Hopefully that made you feel a little bit better. If it didn't, I'm sorry, because that's all I got for you. It's nothing but negativity from here on out. And if you see me constantly go to my eyes, it's because my hair was in my face the whole night. But that's not here nor there. Let's get to the negatives. God in heaven, how am I gonna do this without cursing? I'm gonna try. Okay. I rewatched the game because I slept through a good bit of it. We were getting slapped around in the beginning. We came all the way back because Kyrie's unstoppable. Kevin didn't have the best night, really. I mean, he's human. He's going to have a weird shooting night every now and again. Was it night? It was the afternoon. I told myself I wasn't going to do this, but it's like Nash, right? Steve Nash, right? We're at the point in the season where we can't really address certain things because it just is what it is, right? We're in the playoffs now. So things like the hurdles of having Steve Nash as a coach, we really can't even mention that anymore because it's we're in the playoffs. It is what it is. This is just what we have, and this is just what we have to deal with. We went into this playoff series knowing we had Steve Nash. We all know that. That's not a surprise. That's not a shock. The only big return is if Ben Simmons comes back. But outside of that, we already know what we have going into this. We're aware of what Steve Nash is capable of, and we're aware of what he's not capable of. So a lot of this stuff shouldn't be a surprise. The fact that the Celtics knew that we have two plays, ISO Kevin Durant, ISO Kyrie Irving, and we didn't change that going into this is nuts. Our last game was Tuesday. You're telling me from Tuesday until Sunday, Steve Nash didn't think of any other plan of action. And again, I don't even want to harp on this because we knew this was going to be the case going in. Some of y'all didn't for some reason, but hopefully we're all on the same page with Steve. I shouldn't be yelling. It is 8 o'clock in the morning on a Monday. My fault. But we should already know what's good with Steve Nash at this point. The Celtics knew immediately they're going to give the ball to Kevin Durant. Kevin's probably not passing because there are no other options or plays. Triple him. Double him. Get the ball out of his hands. Play physical, beat him up. No one's going to say anything. And the fact that Steve Nash just thought that this was going to work insanity. Matchup-wise, Kyrie Irving's going to be fine. They don't have anyone little and mobile enough to keep up with him. No offense to Marcus Smart, but there is no one out there that can guard Kyrie. No one on that team. Now, stuff might get a little wild next round, like with Drew Holiday and stuff like that. But outside of Drew Holiday, there's no one in the Eastern Conference that can guard Kyrie. So we know he's going to get whatever he wants. So not that ISO Kyrie is a good idea, but you can spam that and we'll probably be fine. Kyrie figured that out in around the second quarter that, oh, no one can guard me. And he started going off. With Kevin Durant, the entire game plan is get the ball out of his hands by any means. And Kevin, no offense to him, but he's not the most muscular of dudes, so you can just beat him up and the refs aren't going to say anything. That's how it's been all year. So again, why Steve Nash didn't have an adjustment for that is beyond me, but again, we already knew this going into the series, so we can't put that on Steve and say, oh, he is, but it's like we already knew that, so we can't. That's like, let's say, and I'm not trying to be ableist here, but let's say Kyrie only had one arm, right? Let's say it got chopped off in another game or something like that, right? And he's out there on some Boruto Sasuke type stuff, right? On some Luke Skywalker type stuff, right? He's only got one working hand, right? If we were to say in game 5, oh, it's because Kyrie only has one arm, we knew that going into this, you know what I mean? We can't pin that on there, but just for the sake of giving you a rundown of the game, that's what's going on. So for other games, all I'm going to say is Steve Nash, and y'all will know what I'm referring to. This is just for those people who are still trying to sit there and give this man bail. Another thing I want to point out with Steve Nash, and this is the only game in the series we're doing this. So seriously, soak all this Steve Nash slander in, because we're not doing it again until we get eliminated. Because it's just a waste of time. God. Some of y'all, and it's more than some, and I'm trying to refrain from saying specific names, but some of y'all were under the impression that Steve Nash had some kind of strategy of not playing LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin, or Day'Ron Sharpe, or anyone else who was available to play. I'm going to put Kessler Edwards in there because he really should have had more minutes than he did. But some of y'all said that was a strategy because he was saving them for the playoffs. Are you ready to admit you were wrong? Are you ready? It's not a strategy. He's just a bad coach. And I understand substitution patterns and ISO plays are very surface level. This dude is a surface level thinker as a head coach. So there's nothing deep to go into. It is very surface level. To not put LaMarcus Aldridge in the game, to not even try Blake Griffin, is nuts. The Celtics are bigger than us. The Celtics are stronger than us. The Celtics are more defensively minded than us. And you don't even try LaMarcus or Blake. And again, y'all said it was because he was saving them for the playoffs. We're in the playoffs. Where are they? I'm starting to think that when Ben Simmons is healthy, he won't play because we got to get Dragic minutes. Y'all said the same thing. Dragic is only out there getting minutes because we're trying to get everyone rest. Cam Thomas didn't sniff the court because we got to let Dragic play because that's Steve Nash's friend. Again, this is surface level stuff. And I say stuff heavily because I want to say something else. Surface level stuff. So when I say things like Steve Nash from now on, everything I just said embodies that, encapsulates that. But again, we knew these things going into the game. So we'll cap that off as Steve Nash. Put that right here. I think I just woke my neighbors up. Not that. So we're just going to put that right here, right? Steve Nash. We knew all this going into the series. We knew Steve Nash was going to play the same, basically 7 people. We knew for a fact Steve Nash was not going to let LaMarcus Aldridge play. Blake Griffin was not getting out there. We were barely going to see Kessler Edwards. We probably weren't going to see Cam Thomas. I mean, a good majority of the bench was not going to be out there. We knew Patty Mills and Dragic were going to get an extreme amount of minutes, undeservingly so, but they'll get it because Steve Nash. We knew we were going to be undersized for a good bit of the time. We knew that we're not going to have any new plays. It's just going to be ISO Kyrie, ISO Kevin Durant. We knew all these things going into it. This is the team we have. This is what we're stuck with. This is our coach. We just got to make that work. But even with all of that, the Celtics won by 1 point on shenanigans. And again, I have to say the clean version of this because this is Nets Republic. So we won on shenanigans. They won on shenanigans. KD misses a shot. They come down. The only people we had in the paint was, I think, Dragic and Kai. Kyrie was like in foul trouble. He couldn't really do that much, and he was carrying us offensively, so I'm not mad at him. I thought Kyrie's defense was amazing yesterday. I mean, like, talk about turning on a switch. Kyrie was a different player on both sides of the court, playing the best basketball I've ever seen him play on both sides. Obviously, we know he can score, but the defense was ridiculous. Kyrie had a couple blocks. He had a bunch of steals. He was playing really good lockdown defense. The lateral movement was there. I mean, Kyrie played perfect. I have nothing negative to say about Kyrie. We got some stuff to discuss with Kyrie, but I don't see it as a negative, but that's not here or there. But yeah, there was no size in the paint. Marcus Smart is looking for some type of an outlet. The clock is winding down. Gives it to Jason Tatum, who's cutting. I think Tatum said that he thought that someone was going to shoot, so he was going to get the rebound and go back up or whatever. But it was just a backdoor cut. No one was there. Spin to the layup. Hits the shot at the literal last second. I mean, it was clutch. Shout out to him. I mean, I'm not mad at Tatum. It's a cool shot, like cool. But that's how they won. Kevin Durant could not hit a shot to save his life, which, again, part of it is because we only have one play and the other team is aware of it. But another thing is, I mean, he was just missing open shots too. So Kevin is not going to have shooting performances like that often. So kind of like the Joe Harris thing of last season, Kevin hits one more shot, we won. So, I mean, the Celtics can feel good about escaping us, but it's like Kevin's not going to shoot that bad again. So I'm not concerned about the rest of the series. We'll be fine. It's just we shouldn't have to be in these type of situations. The games should be a lot easier. We have the talent for it. Towards the first 2 quarters, you saw everyone was involved. Everyone was hitting shots. We were good. And what I mean by that is it didn't just go full ISO, right? There was no point where it was just full-on ISO in the first quarter. We were passing the ball over to Bruce Brown, who, again, if you remember, can shoot threes, right? You know, getting the ball over to, again, Bruce Brown so he can roam the paint. So he's doing that whole point forward thing. Basically, the things we're going to have Ben Simmons doing when you're letting, you know, him roam around. And when he drives in the paint, he kind of like fakes that floater. But as soon as he looks up and you get either Horford or someone else to jump, right? You could dump it off down low over to Claxton or Drummond or something like that. Drummond played well, had a bunch of, you know, rebounds. Well, I didn't play in the end again is behind me, beyond me. Claxton played well if you remember to get him involved. Again, it's simple things that, and I hate just putting this all on Steve Nash because it's just such a duh moment, but it's just like, we could have won this if we had more than one play and if Kevin played just a little bit better. It's God, I just hate that everything just goes back to Steve because it's such a casual thing to say, oh, it's the coach. But like if you're watching the games, it really is. I'm just trying to give you a fresh perspective on it, but it's just difficult when everything just relates back to Steve Nash. getting other people involved with our two stars who are very ISO heavy and have the ability to drop 60 individually. Your coach has to sit them down and be like, yo, Kai, I know you can keep shooting. I know you can kind of carry us, but what if you got other people involved, right? Kevin, you're like 2 for 20. We know you're Kevin Durant, but what if as you're attracting the triple team, you were to dump that off to Claxton or, look at Patty or, Dragic or something. Like he's attracting a triple team every time he shoots. If 3 people are coming towards you, even when you're 2 of 10, there are other people open. And again, that's what the coach is for. And I hate to bring him up, but with no Harden, we don't have a coach because there's no one on the floor to make that decision because your decision maker is Kyrie. And if Kyrie is the decision maker and he's on Karis LeVert Island and he is just saucy Santana it up, it's just like, God, we really need a coach. But I hang my hat as if I could wear a hat, but I hang my hat on the fact that, wow, that was a lot of rhyming right there. Woo, I might need to use that in the song on Tuesday. I hang my hat on the fact that, I hang my hat on the fact that if Kevin Durant just plays a little bit better or passes the ball 1 or 2 more times, we win this game. We lost by a point. And collectively, that second half was the worst stretch of team basketball I have ever seen in my life. I mean, it was literally just watch Kyrie shoot, watch Kevin miss for the third and fourth quarter. That is some of the worst team ball I have ever seen in my life. And for all the trash we talked about what Harden was trying to do with the team, I don't see how that's different than what we just saw. But cool. But if they're just a little bit more unselfish, we win this game. Because again, we were winning and lost by a point. It's not like we were down 1 and then just couldn't hit the shot. We were up 1 and then they just hit a last second shot. So, I mean, you're talking about we lost by chance, right? We almost eked past, right? They escaped us. So I'm not concerned about the series. We'll be fine. There's just a lot of overarching things that we're trying to battle, but we already knew that going into the series. So unfortunately, I can't make my sweep. I even bought a new broom. Like I was ready. I can't make the sweep jokes I was planning, but we'll save that for the conference finals. I'm sure, whether it's like Philly or the Hawks or something like that, we can save that commentary for that. Okay, so we got the surface level stuff out of the way. We explained why Steve Nash is still the worst coach in the league and how there should be no one else who is trying to defend this. And like, if you're still in that camp of like, well, what head coach has had to deal with more than what Steve Nash has had? How did he deal with it? How did he adjust to any of the changes? Because it's been ISO best player on the court the whole season. How did he deal with anything? How did he address? Like people act like Steve Nash has had his deck shuffled and he's coming up with new strategies on the fly. A new team, same Nash. Like it's the same stuff. So stop with the whole Steve Nash apologist thing. Like quit it. Just stop. So now that we got all that out the way, let's talk about Kyrie for a second. That was my like professional sports analyst take on what happened. Let's talk about Kyrie. Kyrie Irving. Your views on his personal decisions, we're going to put that to the side because I'm having to do that right now. Because y'all know on a personal level, I am not a fan of some of the decisions he makes. And I feel like as two people who clearly act on their emotions, we might vibe off of that. Like we might vehemently disagree on certain things, but we're both two people that act exclusively on our emotions and don't use logic for things. And that's not like an insult, like saying he's stupid or I'm stupid. It's just you have people who act on their emotions and not so much logic. Then you have people who act on strictly logic and numbers and not so much emotions and how you feel. Kyrie and I are like that. I don't know what specifically Kyrie's got going on over there. I know I've got bipolar disorder, so it's like I'm a very emotional type person. All of my decisions in life are based on how I feel. Maybe not the best like planning out type person, but it's how you feel. So I can relate to Kyrie on that. So like the 50% of things I agree with him on, I get it. The 50% that I don't agree, I despise, but I get what's going on because he's an emotional dude. I get that. I'm not gonna burn sage, but I get it, right? So putting away the personal stuff, his on the court demeanor in the Celtics arena, TD Garden, whatever it's called, like commendable. Commendable on a personal level for me because I get that. I understand the mentality of being somewhere where everyone in the room hates you and you just play so much better. And it's not like a Trae Young thing where you're a villain. It's like you feed off the emotion, not the taunting, not because you want to embarrass folks, not because you want to shimmy at half court, but feeding off of emotion. And the fact that Kyrie Irving was heckled, and I don't even know if heckle's the right word, was verbally assaulted from minute 1 to the literal end of the game. And he still did that. And in between and I don't consider this snitching because Jeff Van Gundy and them pointed it out and it's all over Twitter. So this is just me reporting news at this point. Having the time, and I don't know if I can say this on Nets Republic, but having the time to flick off the fans on multiple occasions. We're not just talking about when he hit the shot and gave him the finger. I'm talking about he's got folks behind him going off, and he takes 2 middle fingers, goes behind his head, tells them they're number 1, then turns around and calls them crybabies, and then gets the ball, pivots past 5 defenders, and lays it up after hitting a 3 over 3 people. That type of focus and feeding off of emotion is that's Kobe stuff. You feel me? To be able to tell a fan, blankety blankety blank, because it's Nets Republic, and then immediately inbound the ball and give someone the business on offense. And the same, I'm trying to describe this in a way that makes sense here. Okay, it's not like they're hitting you with the screw Trae Young, then 2 plays later you silence the crowd. I'm talking, you flick someone off and then the literal, like then you turn, inbound, come in, take someone's ankle, juke, then go to the rim. In a 3-second span. I don't think y'all understand how difficult that is. And for emotional people, that's just how we go. It's not like, oh, we just thrive under pressure, we got the hunger. No, that's like, Kyrie is on a different, he's in the matrix. And while I will joke on him for that quite often, the place he's at mentally, you're not even going to touch him. And I don't think we talk enough about how mentally he is 15 steps ahead of everyone else. I mean, to be able to go back and forth with fans, and it wasn't like it was 1 or 2 times. I'm talking the entire second half. Kyrie is locked in on the fans and then not even acknowledging the fact that there are defenders in front of him. Unconsciously, it was him versus the fans. He didn't even know he was playing another team. He was so locked in. That's why I joke he's on Karis LeVert Island. Because when he gets in attack mode like that, you can't break that. And that's why I really think, like, I know Ben Simmons can't go out there now, but like that's one of the reasons why I miss Harden so much. It's not because I'm some crazy Harden stan. It's because we need someone out there to get the ball out of Kyrie's hands. Because when he's locked in like that, he's not even on earth. And that's not a negative. I'm not slandering him. It's just like, one, it's commendable just as a fan of the game. That is insanity. But in a close game, you gotta break him out of that. You gotta wake him up. And having someone on the court who will make like, you can't have the ball handler be the one who's zoned out going 1 on 15,000. That can't be the point guard. So again, there's a bunch of things that contributed to this, but even with all of that, if Tatum doesn't get the ball off a fraction of a second off of his fingers, we won the game. So it's like, even with all of that, Kevin Durant's going to come back pissed. And we know angry Kevin Durant, that's even scarier than Kyrie, which is insane to say. So good luck, Celtics. You made the wrong one angry. Kyrie is not human right now, so he'll be fine. I'm not even worried about that. He'll be fine. And by his standards, that wasn't even the best shooting performance. So good luck with that. I'm not concerned. I just wanted to give you an in-depth video to explain what happened, why we lost, and a couple of things that are just out of our control. Everything Steve Nash related is out of our control. We can't help that. That's just who he is. We knew this going into it. It is what it is. But the other things, those things can change, and they most likely will. And I feel bad for the Celtics, because I would say collectively, that second half was the worst team basketball I have ever seen in my life from a team. So, good luck in game 2, Boston. You're going to need it. Sever the bond. Nets Republic. Nets Republic. One last thing. Domino's is the worst pizza I have ever had in my life. See you in game 2.